Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis. 36. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis. Chapter 36. I have some impressions of this creature. It is rumored that this is a spirit beast that only lives at the junction between hell and earth, drinking the blood and flesh of demons and powerful warriors and growing. Blood essence has full benefits for the flesh, but the strength is strong. If it grows completely, it can transform into a legendary hell ant. The queen said so. Meng Qing was stunned when he heard this, thinking in his heart that it was so evil. Soon, he thought of something weird. You have always been with me, how did you learn about these things? Quote. The queen comes from the system, seems powerful, but is very young, can understand the outside world channels and information less, should not know these things. The queen ant was also puzzled. I don't know why this is, as if a memory was sealed in my mind, and when my strength reached a certain level, this memory was gradually unsealed. Meng Qing was surprised, there was such a thing. He asked Brother Chicken, who was not as intelligent as the queen ant, but apparently, it had a similar feeling. Could it be that this is your respective bloodline or atavism? Meng Qing said to himself, thinking of a possibility that he had seen in the classics. It is said that if the spirit beasts with thin bloodlines and weak strength can one day achieve atavism, they can learn some secrets from ancient times, which are things that their ancestors have inscribed in their bones. The queen nodded, indicating that this might be the case. Meng Qing made up his mind that he must go to this so-called secret realm to take a look. Outside the valley, Wang Shu was still waiting. When he saw Meng Qing, there was still a trace of apprehension on his face, which suddenly dissipated, and he stepped forward and said enthusiastically. Senior brother Meng, how do you feel? Meng Qing nodded. Everything is fine, but junior brother, why are you still waiting here? Wang Shu was a little embarrassed, but looking at Meng Qing's expression, he knew that the latter did not continue to pursue Fang Fang to offend, and he completely let go of his heart at the moment. Meng Qing refused Wang Shu's accompaniment and quickly returned to his residence. Before leaving, Shi Yu said that as his disciple, he could choose a place with strong aura or even next to the valley where he lived, but Meng Qing declined. He used the reason that it was best to act together with Daxuangguo and the others. Of course, the most important point is the system. Shi Yu's strength is very terrifying. In case something is detected, it is difficult to guarantee that there will be no trouble. It is better to live farther. He took out the Chenkin bag that Wang Exisai gave him and the loot he got from the barbarians, and when they were all displayed to the outside world, he couldn't help but gasp. There are no less than 10 million spirit stones, no more than 1,000 first-order elixirs, 500 second-order elixirs, nearly 30 third-order elixirs, and even a fourth-order elixir. As for spirit weapons and elixirs, there are also quite a few, and the total value is no less than 20 million spirit stones. The materials to break through the cave heaven realm are enough. Meng Qing was delighted, but he didn't start right away. He wanted to wait until after the secret realm to break through. With the help of the blood of the demon king ant, he wanted to impact the legendary 10 cave heaven. Using the system, all these elixirs were synthesized, and after a busy time, 7 fourth-order elixirs were displayed in front of him, plus the gift from his master and the previous accumulation. He now has 10 fourth-order elixirs. A knock came from outside the door, and when I got up, it turned out to be Zanshu and others. They all lived nearby, and only then did they see traces of human activity here, so let's take a look. Meng Qing gave all the unfinished elixirs and unused spirit weapons to the 10 people. When these people saw such a precious gift, their eyes immediately straightened, especially the 4 teenagers from ordinary backgrounds. Zan Yi shook his head. These are what you got, and logically speaking, they should all be yours. Meng Qing couldn't deny it. These are all things I got from those people of the barbarians. Your strength is not strong, you must become stronger as soon as possible. I am worried that they will find trouble. Only then did the 10 people accept it. Zanshu glanced around, and said carefully. Senior brother Meng, there seems to be someone sneaking around Fangkai, as if they are inquiring about our situation. Meng Qing frowned, and as soon as he raised his head, a disciple hiding in a large tree dozens of zhang away happened to leave. A killing intent surged in his heart, his toes rotated, and he shot out like a cannonball. That disciple was shocked when he saw this, but because he was the strength of the early stage of the cave heaven realm, he was unhurried at the moment, and turned around quite dashingly, thinking that he could easily escape. The next moment, he felt like he was crushed by a hill. The breath came, Meng Qing's speed was too fast, and in the blink of an eye, he came closer, grabbed his neck, and smashed him towards the ground. Rumble. Dirt emerged, a human-shaped pit emerged, and more smoke and dust emerged, making the ground tremble slightly. The disciple was stunned. It was not clear what had happened. His body was suspended in the air, and he was picked up. Why spy on us? Meng Qing's tone was very cold. If he hadn't deliberately kept his hand, he would have the confidence that that blow could directly throw this person to death. Lin Shu looked at Meng Qing. He only felt unlucky. He was ordered to monitor this person. How could he not expect that this person's strength was terrifying and he could fight him across the border? But he was not convinced. Only when Meng Qing sneaked up on him, he succeeded. Thinking of the strength of the senior brother behind him, Rao knew Meng Qing's identity, and at this time he was also strong. Hugh wants to spray blood. With your identity as a trial disciple, it is also worthy of my surveillance. Just happened to pass by. Take your hand away, kowtow to me, and then take out your Chenkin bag. I won't pursue this matter. Quote. There is a lot of movement here. Today was originally the time to register, and this is where the new students live, and there are already many people watching at this time. When those new disciples saw Meng Qing actually pick up a Cave Heaven Realm senior brother, surprise appeared in their eyes. Even Zan Shu in the rear was shocked in his heart, and was shocked by Meng Qing's strength again. Don't admit it. Not to mention that I also know who it is, related to the barbarians, right? Meng Qing pulled down the Chenkin bag around Lin Shu's waist and threw him out again. Lin Shu was furious. You dare. Give me back the bag. Meng Qing turned around. Are you talking to me? Go back and tell your boss to do less of these shady things. Quote. Meng Qing, I advise you to get acquainted. Even if you are a disciple of Elder Shi, some things cannot be done too much. Snatch my Chenkin bag. Do you know what this means? If you really want to pursue it, Elder Shi can't keep you. Quote. Lin Shu is anxious. There is most of his savings in that Chenkin bag. If he really wants to be robbed, it will be a big loss. Yes, although you pursue it, I really want to see how you who have the face to sanction me after being snatched away by a disciple who is inferior to yours. Meng Qing showed no mercy and said directly. Lin Shu's face completely darkened, and she sneered. You mean, as long as I snatch back the Chenkin bag here, I can even teach you a lesson? Meng Qing smiled. You can understand it this way. You can also do this. I am afraid that if you lose, you will not be able to afford to lose this person. The disciples around were surprised. They sighed that Meng Qing was really dead, and they could even say such words. You know, those who can enter the Yunxiao sect are not idle people. Although Lin Shu is in the early stage of the Cave Heaven realm, how can his strength be weak after opening up several cave heavens? The reason why Meng Qingfengkai can gain the upper hand is nothing more than a successful sneak attack in their opinion, and if they really fight, the odds of the former winning are very small. I see you're really tired. Lin Shu's face was completely blackened, and he strode forward. His aura rioted, and the aura that belonged to the Cave Heaven realm was completely released, which was terrifying and terrifying. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis. 37. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis. Chapter 37. He is a veteran disciple of the Yunxiao sect, and he has been in the sect for a year, and he is naturally proud in his heart. But now he was humiliated by Meng Qing in front of a new disciple. How would he serve the public in the future? Intolerable. He has vowed to teach him a lesson even if he breaks the taboo today. He stretched out his hand, and 6 points of light faintly appeared around him, like a black hole, but emitting a brilliant luster, more like 6 rounds of great sun, reflecting Lin Shu like a god. It turned out to be a 6-hole sky. It's incredible. Although senior brother Lin Shu does not show Mountain Dew among senior brothers on weekdays, his strength is definitely not to be underestimated, and it is very terrifying. There are disciples who do this. Meng Qing opened his heavenly eyes and looked forward, while the aura around his body flowed wildly, ready for battle. Zan Shu and the others suddenly became worried. If Meng Qing was defeated, he would definitely be severely taught a lesson today. Lin Shu punched out, and the force carried above even tore through the air, constantly sinking and floating, setting off a sonic boom in the air. Some people exclaimed, saying that the power of this punch could easily kill the peak powerhouse of the primordial dynasty. 6 whole days. And how? Meng Qing also threw a punch. He used the Imperial Spirit armor breaking skill, deliberately restrained the strength of the beast, and fought with his own heritage. I don't know if I'm alive or dead. Lin Shu roared low, his aura was fully open, and he wanted to suppress him with one punch. The fists collided, and the ground under both of them collapsed. A muffled snort came, and everyone was shocked when they saw it. It was Lin Shu. His fists were red, his steps kept retreating, and there were faint traces of the cave sky that had been lingering around him. Some people felt incredible that Meng Qing's strength was so strong that he could actually retreat Lin Shu with the peak of the Taichu dynasty to open up a six-hole heaven. Lin Shu's face was extremely gloomy. Just the first move, he suffered a dark loss. Looking at the disciples with different expressions around him, he suddenly changed his moves, intending to perform the strongest move. He could sense the terrifying nature of Meng Qing's spiritual energy, and it was difficult for ordinary moves to distinguish the winner and defeat in a while. If so, wouldn't it be a laughingstock? Directly suppress Meng Qing with the strongest move, even if someone talks about it in the future, the result is good. His sleeve robe stretched, a snow-white bracelet emerged, and as Lin Shu pointed out, a griffin actually popped out of it. This is the 4th Order Spirit Beast Fierce Wind Griffin. This was originally a 3rd Order Spirit Beast, but I didn't expect to be fed to this extent by senior brother Lin. Someone smacked their tongues, their eyes showing envy. The griffin bloodline is very noble, and the more advanced the bloodline, the more difficult it is to advance to the next level. Fierce Wind God Palm. Lin Shu stood in front of the griffin, and the two seemed to merge into one, and slammed forward with a palm. Meng Qing also made a palm, but the momentum of this palm was much stronger than Lin Shu's. There was even a burst of flame in the palm of his hand, which was a palm that combined with the heavenly obituary Jinyan. Rumble. The palm prints collided, and suddenly flames burst out, as if they could burn everything, which was terrifying to the extreme. The griffin screamed, Lin Shu snorted, his proud trick did not even last half an hour in front of this flame, and was directly suppressed. He and the spirit beast were wrapped in flames and flew to the rear, leaving a long and deep mark on the ground. The battle is over. There was silence. The people who were still touting Lin Shu a moment ago were shocked and speechless. They looked at Meng Qing as if they saw a monster. What kind of strength is this, with the peak of the ether to defeat the early stage of the Dongtian realm, only 2 moves? Meng Qing stepped forward slowly, and Lin Shu suddenly said in horror. What do you want to do? Get away from me. Ah! Everyone looked curiously, but found Lin Shu lying on the ground howling continuously, and Meng Qing just took away his bracelet. Some people wanted to cover their faces, which was really humiliating for Lin Shu. The latter reacted and wanted to say something cruel when he saw this. Meng Qing looked at him indifferently. What is your opinion? Lin Shu didn't dare to say anything, as if he couldn't bear the eyes around him. He cut through the crowd and left with a scorched griffin gray. This battle swept through the entire freshman disciple area at a stormy speed, and soon, the place where those veteran disciples lived also set off an uproar. At this time, in a valley with remote terrain but extremely rich aura, several people stood in a room, looking at the only person sitting in the field, without saying a word. Lin Shu's waist, there are more than enough successes and failures. Let him go to spy on the news. There was a conflict. If there is a conflict, you don't say, you even lost. The man's voice was cold, and those who stood on the side couldn't help but tremble when he spoke. Senior brother Qin, this person named Meng Qing is a disciple of Elder Shi, and if he can be accepted as a disciple, he must have his superiority, but are we really going to continue to target him? This is a young man with gray hair, his name is Yuan Ying, he is strong and from a good background, but he says this with a strong sense of jealousy. The person who was called senior brother Qin was named Qin Yuan, and said with a disdainful smile. I didn't say that I have to wait for a move. After all, he has not entered the cave heaven realm, isn't it self-surrendering for us to fight him? According to that elder's nature, the trial disciple trip in a few days will definitely let Meng Qing go. That secret realm is good, suitable for a cemetery. When everyone heard this, they fell silent. Qin Yuan was extremely short-sighted, and this time Lin Shu suffered a big loss at Meng Qing's hands, and he would naturally retaliate madly. At this time, there was a knock outside the door. When I opened it, I found that it was Barbarian Star and others. As soon as he entered the door, he cried, Senior brother Qin, you must be the master for us. That Meng Qing, he is really deceiving people. Qin Yuan stepped forward and helped this person up, as if promised. Don't worry, I have already made up my mind to clean him up, and I will not say anything about you junior brothers, just the charge of disrespecting the same senior brother, he can't toss up. Barbarian Star nodded, but soon fell silent again. Senior brother Chin doesn't know, although this Meng Qing is arrogant, his own strength is indeed good, although I hate him to the bone, I can't do anything. Qin Yuan put his hands behind his back and said with a slightly cruel smile. Don't worry, calculate the time, my brother is almost to the sect, you can be closer and closer, with him, Meng Qing can't even give birth to 3 heads and 6 arms. At this moment, not only a few people from the Barbarian Star, but also Yuan Ying and the others who were talking to him showed a little jealousy. 3 days passed in a hurry, and Meng Qing was always preparing for the impact of the cave heaven realm. Although he knew that he had become famous among his disciples these days, he did not care. To be honest, he is not afraid of the retaliation of those formal disciples. There are ant queens and chicken brothers. At this stage, he has no problem walking sideways between disciples. Early in the morning, he followed the crowd with Zanshu and the others to the mountain gate. Everyone went deep into the sea of clouds. They were here for the first time, and they needed to pass through here to reach their destination. At this time, it is sunrise, the smoke is ethereal, the sea of clouds is rolling, like 1,000 horses galloping, indescribable horror. Someone whispered. It is said that there is a small secret realm in this sea of clouds. This is the opportunity that the big guys who created the Yunshao sector hungry, if they can find it, they will get an unimaginable great creation. Someone next to him immediately laughed. What do you think? Then in such a situation, you can move mountains and reclaim the sea. They can't find the opportunity, can you find it? There were bursts of laughter all around. Meng Qing followed the voice, but found that the original speaker was a small fat dun. His eyes narrowed into a slit, and at this time he was ridiculed in public, and his expression was inevitably a little narrow. But even so, he stiffened his neck and continued to speak. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis 38. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis. Chapter 38. Then according to what you say, strong strength can find all opportunities. In order to avoid those powerful probes, the creator of this secret realm has set up many measures, and the lower the strength, the more real it is. The young man named Shilang who had just refuted was surprised when he heard this. Then according to your words, you must be the most genuine feeling of that chance among all of us present. Everyone agreed and laughed again. Even the few girls who walked with Shilang couldn't help but purse their lips and laugh. The little fat dun's face turned red, but in the end he only sighed that it was different. Meng Qing glanced over there a few times from afar, and didn't care too much. Zanshu cut through the crowd and stepped forward to walk side by side with him. Senior brother Meng, I have prepared a lot of news for this secret realm, how about you? Meng Qing was dumbfounded and said truthfully, I don't know very well, what is this secret realm for? Zanshu almost rushed and looked at him in disbelief. You mean, you came here without knowing anything? Meng Qing nodded, and then said, there is still some distance from there, tell me about this secret realm. Zanshu nodded happily, and then chattered. First of all, if you want to become an official disciple of the Yunshao sect in this secret realm, you need to be recognized by the secret realm. When entering it, everyone will be planted with a mark by the portal, and holding this mark, you have to do something that ordinary people can't do to activate, such as one person defeating 2 people. Passing through the sea of clouds, what surprised him was that there was a large flat land below, on which many Dao platforms were built, like the Taiji Bagua array. Stone piers protruding from the ground stand here, soul power rippling, and there is an inexplicable charm. At the edge are 6 constantly rippled portals, in which halos emerge from time to time, as if connecting to another world. Suddenly, a gaze with killing intent looked at him. He followed the look and saw Lin Shu, who was not well injured and was bandaged like rice dumplings on a high platform. In front of him, there were several young men with strong breath, who seemed to have sensed his gaze and looked at him one after another. Senior brother, he is Meng Qing. Lin Shu whispered to remind Qin Yuan in the rear. The latter agreed, and then whispered to a teenager behind him. The young man opened his eyes and collided with Meng Qing's line of sight, and in an instant, the smell of gunpowder filled the air. Meng Qing was surprised in his heart. The young man who looked at him was very strong, and he could actually give him a sense of oppression. The boy quickly retracted his gaze, stepped down from the high platform, and stood alone in a place with his eyes closed. Many people noticed this scene, and people who knew the situation of the day seemed to watch the play, and some people whispered, "Who is that person standing in front of senior brother Lin Shu? What a strong sense of oppression. That's senior brother Qin Yuan, his strength is very strong," and the person who Fang Kai spoke to him as his younger brother, named Qin Ping, who is said to have killed a cave heaven realm early-stage powerhouse in his heyday when he first entered the peak of the primordial dynasty, and that person has 7 cave heavens. There was a surprise all around, although many people present were conceited geniuses, but to kill the powerhouse of the cave heaven realm at the peak of the Taichu, it was really terrifying. Meng Qing left a mental eye. Zhan Shu came to her side and said worriedly, "Senior brother Meng, I feel that this person will deal with you." Meng Qing was very conceited. "Deal with me? He is not qualified. Now everyone here, the only person who can be glanced at by me is the Qin or something, and everyone else has to go back a little." As soon as these words came out, the frying pan suddenly became here. Many strong people glared angrily at him, and some people clenched their fists, wanting to ask for advice on the spot. Someone sarcastically said, "I don't know if I am dead or alive, but I just happen to have achieved some small results. What is proud, I am not afraid to flash my tongue." The man who spoke was a handsome young man with purple hair, shining in the rising sun, and a halo around him, reflecting him very holy. Meng Qing looked at him curiously. If he remembered correctly, he should not have offended this person. Zhan Shu explained in a low voice, "This is a person from the Z family. He has a good relationship with the barbarians. His name is Ziyu, and the barbarian star is his sworn brother." Meng Qing finally understood, and in order to confirm, he asked again, "Zi Mao, you want to be angry for barbarian star?" Ziyu's face suddenly darkened, and said coldly, "What are you calling me? Have the ability to say it again." On the side, Zhan Shu and the others were a little speechless. They didn't expect Meng Qing to be so rude and direct, and directly gave Ziyu a nickname. Meng Qing waved his hand. "Forget it, it's not important. When you get to the secret territory, there is one to count 1, and suppress it all." Ziyu said coldly, "Suppression? I think you better choose a place with good feng shui as a cemetery as soon as possible. Outside, you are Elder Shi's disciple. We respect you for 3 points, but once you enter the secret realm, I want to know how you will die." Some of the disciples of the forces who were relatively close to the barbarians also showed cold faces and looked at a few people with bad intentions. And those neutrals look like they are watching a good show. Meng Qing thought thoughtfully, "It turns out that you are afraid of this. It doesn't matter, although you come, I am waiting for you in the secret realm, you must come to me." He secretly wrote down the people who showed his cold color. To him, these people were simply moving treasures, scavenging all the treasures on these people, then he was more likely to impact the 10 cave heaven. On the high platform, Lin Shu sneered, and when he saw Meng Qing's arrogant look, he couldn't get angry, and said coldly, "This little beast really can jump." Qin Yuan's face was expressionless, but he didn't say anything. Several elders who were originally guarding here also noticed the movement here, and what happened just now was naturally listened to by them. Some time ago, Shiyu Harvest disciples had made waves in the Yunxiao sect, but when they saw Meng Qing, they were all a little puzzled, and an elder even asked his companions, "Is this really a disciple that Elder Shi received? This nature is inevitably too ostentatious. Perhaps, Elder Shi saw something in this son that I didn't even see yet." The elder pondered for a long time, and said so. Rumble. At 3 o'clock in the sun, the high platform on which everyone was standing suddenly trembled. The surrounding clouds and mist suddenly became furious, but after a moment they calmed down. Meng Qing could obviously detect that the clouds and mist had become much thinner in one and one round. On the contrary, the soul power around him was much richer. The 6 gates bloomed and echoed each other, and the ripples on the surface spread out, and you could see the world inside the portal outside the door. "It's now, get in it quickly," an elder shouted. Meng Qing followed Zhan Shu and the others into a gate closer to them. As if entering the water, Meng Qing felt that his body was wrapped in a force, and then with a bang, he seemed to be thrown away from a great distance, and just as he was about to meet the impact, the soles of his feet had already touched the physical object. When he opened his eyes, the sunlight came in, and he was on a meadow. Nearby birds singing and flowers, mountains spread in the distance, and there is a waterfall hanging on the top of the mountain, the rainbow is like a bridge, connecting the sky and the earth, a group of unknown birds fly on it, the beauty is like a painting. Feeling the surroundings, Meng Qing couldn't help but be a little shocked, the aura here was at least twice that of the outside world. He asked the queen ant in the sleeve robe, "Can you detect the breath of the demon king ant?" The ant queen shook her head and said an answer that made Meng Qing not particularly happy. "Master, the demon king ants live in a dark and dead place, and I think your current location may be far away from them." Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis. 39. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis. Chapter 39. The corner of Meng Qing's mouth twitched. This was the last answer he wanted to hear now, there was no one. Looking at the left arm, a small mark appeared above me at some point, as if it was a tree, dim, which should be the symbol planted by the portal when entering the secret realm. Perhaps, he could consider activating this mark first. Suddenly, a throbbing came from the divine soul. Looking closely, Meng Qing couldn't help but be surprised that the place where the throbbing came was actually his soul power, which tended to be saturated, and that layer of shackles actually wanted to take the initiative to untie after feeling the rich soul power in this secret territory. Looking through the Chenkin bag, Meng Qing found many spiritual medicines that had been synthesized before, many of which were items that cultivated divine souls. Although these divine soul treasure medicines seemed very rare to outsiders, the Chenkin bags he had before were all obtained from the hands of Barbarian Star and others, and there were many treasures. He found a clearing and asked Brother Chicken and the Queen Ant to protect him, and with the help of the rich soul power in the secret territory, he tried to impact the condensing spirit-level divine soul. Like a cow chewing a peony, he sent all those divine soul treasures into his mouth and swallowed them in large gulps. Rumble. The treasure medicine entered the body, turned into an extremely rich soul power, and rushed towards the divine soul. In an instant, Meng Qing only felt that his body seemed to have become a transparent picture, and he was like an outsider who could clearly see everything in it. Under that thick and terrifying soul power, without the slightest accident, the shackles were broken. The so-called condensing spirit is to gather the originally scattered soul power in one place to form the appearance of a warrior, which is the divine soul body. Meng Qing muttered to himself. When he was in the Great Zon Kingdom, he had quietly entered the royal library and learned about this knowledge. Under his deliberate guidance, the soul power in the divine soul space gathered together and condensed into a ball, like an embryo. The soul power continued to inject, and the embryo began to have a silhouette, and then bloomed with luster. Soon, the soul power condensed into a vague human form, and the luster gradually restrained, gathering on the forehead of this human form. In less than a quarter of an hour, the condensation of the divine soul body was completed. The divine soul body is formed, this is condensing spirit Xiaocheng. At first glance, this is simply a Meng Qing who has shrunk countless times, sitting cross-legged in the divine soul space, with a solemn appearance. Immediately afterwards, his divine soul exploration range expanded wildly, heading straight for Beizong. This is a very frightening range, and from this distance, he can see everything clearly, and any wind and grass in it can be seen. Meng Qing suddenly got up, opened his eyes, and a ray of essence shot out. At that moment, his gaze seemed to converge into two sharp swords, shooting forward, and actually shot out two tiny pits on the ground. Once the divine soul cultivation reaches the condensation spirit, the divine soul attack can be materialized. It seems that killing people with eyes is not impossible. Meng Qing said to himself, becoming more and more aware of the magic of this realm. The Ant Queen and Brother Chicken were a little speechless, because Meng Qing's focus was indeed different from ordinary people. Half of what you have to do to enter the secret realm has been completed, and now there are still demon king ants left. Of course, there are still those rich boys before this. Meng Qing grinned, revealing his white teeth. Although his face was not vicious, it made people shudder. He moved, choosing a random position, wanting to see what was in this secret realm first. Rumble. Even with his physical body alone, his speed was extremely fast, almost catching up with the speed of ordinary martial artists using body techniques. Half a day later, in the distance, there were figures moving on a small mountain. Curious, Meng Qing approached cautiously, and in the state of gathering the breath of the whole body, he arrived at the front like a ghost. When he saw the person moving above, Meng Qing's eyes suddenly lit up, purple hair and white face, and it was purple. It's just that there are two people beside him, a man and a woman, and the girl's face is somewhat similar to Ziyu. The strength of the three people was at the peak of the beginning, and the breath was restrained. Although they did not deliberately exert it, they still let the surrounding grass and trees fall to the other side in unison. In addition, he also noticed that the girl's divine soul cultivation had reached the peak of subtlety. Meng Qing secretly touched his chin, and couldn't help but feel the horror of the cultivation talent of these juniors of the great family. You know, he relied on the system to come to this step not long ago. But when he heard the conversation between the three, his face suddenly became gloomy. Little sister, there is no trace of that flea yet. Senior brother Qin Yuan said that he would do something on his mark so that I could wait for me to find it smoothly, and when I entered, I was obviously facing this side. Why did I break the direction now? Ziyu was a little dissatisfied. The girl's name was Ziling, and when she heard this, she was also puzzled, and just guessed, could it be that he has been recognized by the secret realm, and the imprint is glowing, automatically eliminating the hands and feet above? Ziyu denied. This is impossible. No one in the past has been able to get the recognition of the secret realm in such a short time. Could it be that the flea noticed something and used a means to cover that mark? The young man who was always silent in the rear said indifferently. What's so difficult about this? Since the direction Fang Kai is pointing in is here, then we will continue to search. Then the flea is estimated to be still looking for opportunities everywhere. Directly find the kill. Ziyu nodded. It makes sense. I don't know what the situation is over there. Senior brother Qin Yuan issued an order that no one who has a relationship with him remains, and in order to ensure any success, he even spent a lot of money to buy the blood of the pure-blooded Ao Huang. I don't believe that this flea can really jump until then. The three of them briefly discussed and decided to hit the road immediately. Meng Qing walked out from the shadows and said with a dark face. I heard that you were looking for me. No need to be busy, I'm here. The three were shocked, especially the purple spirit. She obviously released her soul power to pay attention to the surroundings, but how did Meng Qing get close? Ziyu quickly reacted from the shock, and said with a sinister smile, it's very good, you were intimate, saving us effort, but don't think that we can give you a way to live. I once said, when you get here, you better see which place is suitable for a grave, and now, your answer is here. Meng Qing's face was expressionless, and he strode forward. Zijia roared lowly, and a strong killing intent appeared on his face. At this level, is it worth the effort? And watch me kill him. Quote. Boom. The aura was furious, and purple light appeared on his body, like a warrior, carrying a shocking momentum, and a punch was thrown, far beyond the peak of the primordial peak, setting off a series of sonic booms. Meng Qing only took out a palm, held the fist he swung, and relied solely on his own strength to pull him forward fiercely, and his knees forward. Ziji's trick was broken, and he suddenly snorted, but before he could react, Meng Qing's hand grabbed his neck, and the hand holding him in his right hand turned fiercely, clicked, and a scream like killing a pig came out. Meng Qing frowned, pulled him hard again, his knees were pushed again, right in Ziji's throat, his face suddenly became pig liver color, blood could not stop flowing from the corners of his mouth, and then fell straight back. All this is a long story. From Zijiao's hand to the ground, it is only 10 breaths before and after. Ziyu and Ziling looked at this scene, and a thick shock appeared in their eyes, and the former was even more incredulous. You killed Zijia. Meng Qing strode forward, his face expressionless. Now it's up to you. Quote. Boom. The Imperial Spirit armor breaking skill was running at full strength, stepping out in one step, and instantly arrived in front of Ziyu's body, and then blasted out with a punch. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis 40. Fantasy. My mythical beasts all rely on synthesis. Chapter 40. How daring. Ziyu was furious, clasped his hands together, and as the aura ran, his hair became more and more crystalline, and he met Meng Qing's fist. But he underestimated the power of this punch. The two fists collided, and he seemed to be hit by a piece of high-speed moving fine iron. His arm twisted in a very terrifying posture, and then flew heavily to the rear. But Ziyu's strength in the end is not bad, immediately endured the pain, supported the ground with his left hand to keep his body stable, pointed a finger in front, and in an instant, a roar came out. A strong purple light mass emerged, and a spirit beast covered with purple crystals all over its body, a length, the shape of a wolf, and a sharp horn on its head rushed out, exuding the coercion of a fourth-order spirit beast that belonged to a fourth-order spirit beast, and killed towards Meng Qing. Purple beast, hit him to death. Ziyu roared lowly, and her eyes burst with fierce light. Meng Qing frowned slightly, ran the Imperial Spirit armor breaking skill, strode forward, and pointed forward. Rumble. The two collided, and the purple light splashed, as if there were purple flames exploding in the middle of a person and a beast. Immediately afterwards, a wailing sound came out, and Ziyu's face turned miserably white in an instant, and blood couldn't stop shooting from the corners of his mouth. My beast. Ziyu screamed, his roar was heartbreaking, and his beast was actually killed by a punch. Meng Qing's figure appeared, stepped out in one step, and approached him. How is this possible? How could your strength be so terrifying? Ziyu looked at the fallen purple Mangbeast and asked in shock. I said, it's your turn. Meng Qing raised his hand again. Ziyu panicked, he no longer had the will to fight, and he only wanted to run for his life. The hardest place on the purple beast's body is its horns, and Fang Kai Meng Qing's punch not only shattered the horns of the purple beast, but also smashed its head. How terrifying is this? He cast his body, a halo appeared under his feet, and he rushed into the distance. Meng Qing's eyes showed disdain. Want to escape? Can you escape? Quote. A punch blasted out, the terrifying force invaded upward, the sonic boom continued, killing Ziyu on the spot. There was a sound of wind coming from the rear. This was also a purple beast, belonging to the purple spirit. Meng Qing dodged away, pointed his finger, and released the queen ant. Rumble. The moment the ant queen fell to the former's body, the purple beast seemed to be hit by a mountain, fell straight to the ground, and the original brilliant purple light was all dispersed. Ziling snorted, and just wanted to dodge. Meng Qing had already approached and pinched her neck. Ask you 2 questions, and if you answer them correctly, they won't kill you. First, which elder did Qin Yuan buy off against me? Don't tell me that as a disciple, he can interfere with the operation of this secret portal. Ziling was afraid, and said with difficulty. I don't know the elder who bought it, my brother and I just entered the sect, we don't know much about these things, and I just acted on orders to make a move against you. I have no malice towards you, just my brother. Ziyu has a good relationship with the barbarians, and I was forced to do so. She looked at Meng Qing in front of her, as if she was looking at a demon god. She really couldn't imagine that they were all primordial peaks, why Meng Qing could kill Ziyu and Zijia in such a short time. You know, these 2 people are the first 3 members of their Z family's generation, and they will all be the pillars of the Z family in the future. Second, who are the people chasing and killing Da Shuangguo and the others? Can you find their bearings? Meng Qing was expressionless and continued to ask. Ziling quickly nodded. I know, it's the original barbarians and the others, and I can track their location. Meng Qing threw her casually, and said coldly. Leave you with your life, quickly take me over, if something happens to them, no matter who it is, they will be buried with them. Ziling shivered, stood up in a hurry, and after setting a position, pointed to the northwest. The purple beast got rid of control, became a temporary means of transportation for the 2, and rushed towards the distance. Along the way, the purple beast was very high profile, which attracted the attention of many people. Some sharp-eyed people recognized that this was the purple spirit's beast, and they were all a little puzzled. Soon, someone saw something unusual. Oh my god, there is still a man sitting on the purple beast of the purple spirit. Why is that person a little familiar? Wait, that is Meng Qing. You read that right? How could it be that guy? Aren't they on the same page? How can they go together? This aroused the curiosity of many people, and just when some people wanted to catch up and take a look, the purple beast had already disappeared. For 2 days, the purple beast was always rushing with high intensity. Its eyes changed from the original blue-purple to red, and its body lost a large circle, and the original crystal purple light completely dimmed, and even the speed was much slower than at the beginning. Ziling was timidly on the side. At this moment, she hoped to reach the place where everyone was earlier than Meng Qing. Not yet. Meng Qing frowned. On the way, the queen ant said that she felt the breath of the demon king ant, and they were approaching the place at this time. This made Meng Qing worried, because the place where the demon king ant was infested was also the place with the most variables. The blood of the demon king ant has a strong attraction not only to warriors, but also to spirit beasts. It can be said that this is the most dangerous place in the entire secret realm, and likewise, this is also the place with the most opportunities. The purple spirit eyes were closed, and along the way, she always maintained a high-intensity soul power output, and the spiritual energy was injected into the body of the purple beast, which made her always fall into a serious overdraft state. At a certain moment, she suddenly opened her eyes and looked into the distance and said, 10 miles ahead, they are in that valley. Meng Qing's hand stretched out, and the purple beast stopped walking. You can go. If one day you want to avenge your brother, you can come to me. Of course, the price may be your life. Meng Qing ran forward alone and quickly disappeared here. Rumble. The purple beast fell to the ground and fell into a turtle breath state, which is a situation that only occurs when the overdraft is serious. Ziling quickly put it into the storage space, and at the same time took out bottles and jars from the Chenkin bag and used them at any cost. Finally, she stood up, her eyes flashing with the flames of vengeance, and chose a path to the left. Before approaching the front, Meng Qing's soul power had already detected the movement ahead. Fighting is breaking out in the valley. In front of Zan Yi stood a pangolin, his whole body stained with blood, his clothes were torn, but his eyes were very fierce. Barbarians, if you want us to submit, you are not qualified enough. Opposite them, the 3 barbarians stood, in addition to 3 gorillas with terrifying physiques. This is the universal beast of the barbarians, the silver-backed gorilla, which is in existence with great growth potential in the spirit beast world, and it is said that it can transform into a silver-backed ape when it is a big adult. Barbarian Xing smiled viciously and roared lowly. Xuanyi, surrender as soon as possible, I can still send you to reunite with Meng Qing underground. Dog-like things, I was taught so badly by Meng Qing a few days ago, and I forgot about the pain in a blink of an eye. You barbarians are really a good dog of Qin Yuan, and you are led by his nose, pointing and biting. A young man standing behind Zan Yi also had injuries on his body, but his expression was firm, and he had no intention of showing weakness. His name was Wang Lang, one of the 4 grassroots disciples of the Great Zan Kingdom, who accompanied Zan Yi after the break. Boy, you want to die. The barbarian star roared low, clasped his hands, and a gorilla like a rock rushed quickly, beating his chest with both hands, and was about to smash forward. Rumble. Suddenly, a great coercive pressure burst out, sweeping from the periphery like a mountain, falling straight down. A palm print that seemed to materialize appeared and fell from the sky. Barbarian Star and the others changed color, and before they could react, the slap fell, slamming them to their knees. Please like and subscribe.